what is the donor's experience being asked? And is there a piece of, when a donor does have a negative reaction, that perhaps they're being forced into a level of vulnerability or visibility that they weren't quite ready for? Or like, how can people kind of dip their toes into visibility, both as a donor maybe and as a fundraiser? Like, I mean, maybe it is what you're saying, just like entering, whatever type of visibility play is gonna, get you kind of playing in that sandbox, like with the Facebook or Instagram lives. But have you dealt with or thought about like money and kind of transactions in particular as it relates to visibility and what that kind of stirs up on both sides?
I think the biggest thing, the biggest thing that money does, along with visibility, because it's all, like you said, it's vulnerable pieces of it, right? We've never been taught about money. Like most people did not grow up actually being taught about money, the energy of money, like how to, it's just, we're not taught that. We're taught some basic skills, and then it's like, don't talk about it. Like, don't ever tell how much you make. Like, right, there's all this shame around money. So it's a big loaded thing. But what the fundamental things that I see of any visibility opportunity, any visibility challenge, situation, and money included in that, is people taking things personally. So just imagine, I mean, really, like if we could just like, boop, that piece is gone. Like I'm never taking anything personal again, it's just gone. How would your world be different? How would your business be different? How would your company be run differently? How would you manage your teams differently? How would you fundraise differently? How would you show up? How would you start public speaking differently? Like, it's just different. That piece of taking things personally, either rejection or, the vulnerability of they asked too soon or whatever.
Yep. All the story that makes
all
it personal.
Stories.
Yeah. Okay. So I hear my clients in my ear being like, okay, but you just told us to be fully ourselves and to completely put ourselves out there in our truth, and then to not take it personally. So how do we manage
totally
that?
Just said that. And I'll say it again.
Okay. Like that, because I can imagine, and I hear this from my clients because I teach something similar, and they're like, wait a second, you just said be authentic and be me, but then don't make it about me.
Right. So I teach, and this is too big to get into, but I talk about containers and really having an energetic container for your energetic system. And again, I know that's language that not everybody can connect or relate to, but there is sort of this energy bubble. Like even when you think about being kids and people say like, stop being so full of yourself or whatever, like most of the time those kids are actually being full of themselves. They're just literally in that space of not apologizing for who they are. They just are, right? So as an adult, the goal is, yes, to be authentic, to be full of ourselves, like just in that container, not projecting it on people, not, pushing it out in front of people. Like it's really about creating that space to actually attract people to you. Like if you think about really strong leaders, they have a very strong magnetic presence. Like they're very full of themselves, but they're in a container. So hopefully that makes sense to people who are listening or watching. So with that said, the next piece then is everybody has a filter. And I know that this is stuff that you talk about. I know it. Everybody has a filter. We're all viewing things through the filter. We're viewing things through our world through that filter. And people are viewing you in your glory, in your fullness. They're also viewing it through their filter. And two things, well, it's really three things, pretty much in all situations. One, they're attracted to that. And honestly, that's what I find. When people are not cocky, I call it peacock, being a peacock, like when they're not, doing their, like it's not that. It's very self-assured, true confidence, connected to their authenticity and just being that, right? Being visible in that. Like there's a very beautiful energy to that. Most people who can do that, people are drawn to them. It's like the moth to the flame. They're like, what do they have? I would like some of that. Like they're I call them magnetic, right? People are drawn to them. So that's the majority of that. The second thing that can happen though is completely neutral. Like there just isn't anything. It's not the phone call back or the email lack of response or whatever. It doesn't actually mean anything. It's just neutral. And the other thing is the thing that we fear the most, which ironically happens the least, which is they're triggered by our light / authenticity. It's part of that. I don't understand it. I want it. I don't have it. I used to have it. I don't anymore. Whatever it might be. And this is all subconscious. It's usually not any thoughts that are actually happening, but they want to reject that because they're just, it's like, I can't, they're triggered by it. They're triggered by you being in your fullness. And that, like I said, that can happen.
But again, it's nothing about you.
It's not about you. It's literally their filter. Yeah. Viewing the energy that they see in front of them.
I love that. Well, I know we could talk all day, but in order to wrap up in a few minutes, is there anything like that you kind of want to say to the fundraising community about, visibility in your work? Like what's kind of the last little wisdom you'd want to leave them all with?
I would say, I guess I would say that fundraising is the same concept for me as far as like sales, right? Like selling. It's the same energy, right? I'm asking you for something. And I think that we've all experienced sort of the old way to do it, right? Like we understand the car salesman, we understand from the fundraising perspective, I'm so desperate, I'm so needy, please give to me, right? Like there's these energies that I think it goes back to like, we need to just start telling the truth, right? Like it's more about who do you want to be through this entire process? Through the fundraising process. Who do you want to be? And most people, when they really think about that, they also can go, I want somebody to treat me the way I would treat them. Like this is that, like, so show up the way that you would want to be sold to, right? Show up that way. I will sit, and this is something that your people can use. I would sit, and I still do this all the time. I just posted about it on the Disability Spirit Inspired Challenge that I did, is if you sit and really think about like, who do I want to work with, or who could really use my services right now, or who could really benefit from being involved in helping this organization grow or get the mission accomplished. And if you sit in that space of receptivity and you listen to certain names that pop up, or ask, to say, what, I would love a sign of like who I'm supposed to be reaching out to or whatever. That stuff, it's weird quantum physics, and some people call it magic stuff, but it's quantum physics. It really is. It's really science. And then trust the name that comes, or the company that comes, or whatever it might be. Trust that. Take that action to reach out to them from this place of, you know what, I'm reaching out to you because your company just really popped up and I just felt called to reach out. Is there any collaboration? Like to have this very genuine, authentic conversation versus, and it's not just always versus, I believe both are valid, but to create just nothing but strategy, right? Like bring in the soft skills of who we are as human beings. And just start being more relatable from, right? Like being relatable and focusing on that connection. Again, I know that I'm preaching to the choir right here. Like your thing is all about the connection, like creating connection. And that's the piece. It's authentic connection. It's not, I just got to tell you right now. So I've got a person who's on Facebook who I don't know. She friended me and I feel hounded. I do. I feel hounded. She keeps messaging me. What do you want to focus on in your bit? And I'm like, this is not a conversation that I decided to have. And I can feel her. I can feel her push. Yeah. But it was funny because I mean, I'm human. I do my own work. I know you do your own work. I felt a little triggered by her invasion per se, right? Like it was this constant. And I went, okay, let me check in the energy of this. And I asked exactly what I just said. I said, who do I want to be in this? Who do I want to be? And so I was very authentic. And I just said, you know, I appreciate your interest in me and, you know, in XYZ. And I'm choosing to really trust my intuition right now. I would be more than happy to invest the time to make a real connection if it organically happens. And I really meant that. And so I didn't want to shut her down or shut her off, but I also wanted to demonstrate how I want to do these relationships.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know if that makes total sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. And we could have a completely other conversation about this and it really resonates with me because I also get kind of, you know, outreach to all the time from a business perspective and a coach perspective or whatever somebody is selling. And it's really interesting to see the different ways that folks kind of try to build relationships. And, you know, I had someone recently reach out and he kept reaching out and I just kind of hadn't had time to respond yet. And then I finally responded, he lives not far from me and, you know, wanted to do a distance thing. And I said, you know, I'm really busy right now, you know, maybe in a month or two, but also I just want to say that, you know, I see what your business is and I actually have a provider in that area and I'm not interested in switching. And so I just want to be respectful of your time too. If you're doing this as like a client acquisition strategy, I just want to be really transparent with you that I'm not looking to invest. I'm always interested in meeting new people and things like that. But I just want to be really clear, never heard from him again.
Perfect. So that's the key. Authenticity is transparency. So that's it, right? Is being transparent in your response is part of that muscle being built to be transparent in the ask as well.
Yeah.
And that's what we're craving and missing. And that's what I mean by like the old school way is not transparent.
Yeah.
The old school way is bait and switch.
Yes.
It's hype. It's one pill, right? It's that whole thing. It's like, that's not how we want to start doing this.
Yes. 100%. Well, Michelle, thank you so incredibly much for this conversation. I'm so excited for these like concepts and just the way you approach everything to be infused in how fundraisers think about how they get to be and how the opportunities and options they have for how they show up. So thank you for this.
You are so welcome. You're so welcome. Yeah. And if people want to check me out, they can just visit my website too. That's just
perfect. And I will include wherever this is posted, I will include information on how you find Michelle below as well. And she obviously comes with my huge personal endorsement because you are seeing me be visible as we speak. So here's your proof. But yeah, thank you for your time. And this was so nice.
Yeah. Well, your clients are very, very lucky. I mean, truly.
Thank you.
You lead with your heart and your soul, and you've got the strategy to support them, and you've got the experience. I mean, you've got that background to really support them in so many ways. So thank you for being a rock star client, inviting me to spend this time with you.
Thank you.